This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello everyone and welcome! It's round 3 of the SimRacersWorld GT Pro Series live from beautiful Road America here on the iRacing Esports Network, brought to you by Apex Racing TV. My name is Marco Barbandera. No Sam Fitzpatrick tonight, we have no idea where he is, probably still celebrating Norwich win over Manchester City, but we have as worthy as a replacement in Mark Fletcher. Hello Mark.
Good evening, how are we doing?
Well, doing great, and this is certainly a track that we, as commentators and drivers, were certainly looking forward to, thanks to the history and the sports car pedigree of this particular racetrack, and we shall see if there will be a driver capable of dethroning Martin van Loosenhoorn, who has been dominant so far. Victory on the media day non-points paying round at Daytona International Speedway 3 weeks ago, and then winning both the race season opener at Spa and last week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. So we stay in North America, and Road America, what a racetrack. It has everything you could possibly want from a track of this caliber. All sorts of corner elevation changes, punishing runoff areas made mainly of grass and gravel, and it is going to be very interesting to see that draft on the backstretch, how it is going to play out, especially when in the race you have to set up an overtake. So Mark, welcome on board once again, and what is your opinion on this particular racetrack? Certainly one of the, at least in my opinion, one of the best racetracks in the world.
Yeah, brilliant to be here again. As you say, Road America, it's got everything, hasn't it? Massive straights, as you can see, these Mercedes flying down the back straights together, just trying to utilise the draft here, and that's exactly what they've done. So you can see they're trying to get Bod up into a decent qualifying position. It's technical, the back section. You've got to be on it around here. A wide line can cost you massively. I expect the Ferraris to be quick around here. That's an all-round good car, the Ferrari. The Mercedes, we know, faster in a straight line than the Ferrari. But you can never rule out the Audi. The Audi's a fast car when it's in the right hands. But obviously, as Martin showed, you know, the Ferrari's the best car for him at least. So we'll just see how he goes. And as you can see, we're like 6 minutes into qualification, and he leads qualification in that Ferrari.
Absolutely, that's a great start as per usual from Van Loosenord, as he puts the car on provisional pole in front of Chris Warner and his teammate for RevMatch Esports, Kevin van der Slick. Bob Boland is in 4th and Dion Phillips is in 5th as these lap times are trickling in. Of course, a very long lap, which also means, you know, the laps will be coming, you know, in very, you know, it will take some time to have an idea of who is setting which time, and of course of their pace.
Yeah, you know, it's a good 2 minute, well, minimum of a 2 minute 2 lap round here. You know, so they've got 20 minutes, so I'd expect to see them potentially do three runs. As you can see, as you've just said, the rev match guys drafting each other down the straight, so they're obviously looking at, you know, trying to lock out at least one of the top couple of rows. So we ride on board with Dion Phillips of the Rev Match esports team. Martin, his teammate, leading at the front. So these guys are obviously just going round together at the time being, just to set a time in, and whether they'll start drafting as a team later on in the session, that's what we're yet to find out.
Leading the silver class, but currently in the pits, is Nick Shermans for SimRacersWorld Pro-Am. Here is coming just now out of the pits, and leading the bronze category is Dries Mujdi for Dynamics Racing, as Martin van Loosenord improves on his time and goes even quicker, 201.898 there at the top of the table. Chris Warner was very, very quick in media day in Daytona. Not only that, he led for a good portion of the race before pit stops. Then after the pit stops, Van Loosenord was a bit quicker thanks to some good fuel saving and jumped him. And we haven't really seen, you know, that kind of, you know, difficulty for Van Loosenord in the first 2 rounds. So, but Chris Warner looks to be in a pretty good shape today, at least in qualifying. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. Drivers without a time, well, we have some bad news for Marvin Amans of RevMatch Esports, because he's having some technical issues to his system and probably will not have enough time to jump into the session. Robin Monster also without a valid lap time, one of the quick, very, very quick drivers in the series, also for Rev Match Esports, as he's driving through this beautiful backstretch. But let's jump on board with Dion Phillips. No, because he's already at the end of the lap. Let's see if he's going to improve. And he does, but still in 5th place. So that is not going to change for the time being. John McConville, another very, very quick driver. He is without a valid lap time. And here he comes. And he doesn't set a valid lap time, unfortunately. So still sitting in pit 39.
Yeah, so obviously just catching the grass or 2 wheels on the grass somewhere around this circuit. It's quite easy to do that. You know, as you can see. So on board with Kevin Boland. Let's take a lap around this Road America circuit for you guys watching. And as you can see on the left hand side, if you guys are new to this broadcast, you can see at the minute through 1 to 8, they're your gold class drivers. So they're your they're your Pro Series drivers, and then obviously just in this broadcast, 9, 26, 27, they're your silver class guys, all fighting for the same overall victory, but also in class as well. And then 28, 29, 30, they're your bronze class drivers. As I've just said, still all fighting for the same overall victory, but also you've got to bear in mind that these are going to be fighting within their classes as well.
Exactly. The big question in the past seasons was, is it worth it for, let's say, the first driver in silver to fight on track for position with, like, let's say, the 10th guy in gold. In the past, it was, a big question, because you had points for the overall standings, but each category had their little race between themselves, with the winner of the silver, no matter where he was finishing, getting 25 points, and so on and so forth. As here we have a big fight between some dogs that will force me to sadly close the window, which is never a good idea when it's that hot, as it is in Italy right now. But this season things have changed, and so there will be basically, no matter where you finish in your class, you get the points that you get for the overall standings as well. That is going to be easier for us to follow, especially in the later stages of the season, and also it will make it worth for the silver and bronze drivers to fight with the gold drivers for that all-important track position, as Kevin Bolland is improving on all of his sectors bar the second one. It's a 6-sector racetrack, this one. And here he comes on the start finish line, P33 for the Nomad Sim Racing driver. Here he comes on the start finish line. He's 3.6 seconds away from from pole position, and he goes up, passing Kevin Bolland for P32. That is bronze class, very, very close to each other.
Yeah, and I think we'll see a lot of that going into turn one as well. These cars are just going to drift wide, especially when they're in the draft. It's a tough corner to get used to, actually, because you're going obviously full chat down the straight, and it's a quick 2 gears down into either third or fourth, depending on how these guys have got their cars geared. And then it's look for the inside curb and let it just push out. So as you ride on board with Chris Warner, the Fury Motorsports driver, currently sitting P2. And again, improves his lap time ever so slightly, so the gap down to 2/10 down to Martin. But look at the gap then back to P3. That's 0.6 of a second. That's a massive amount of time to try and find around here. So the front two checking out slightly here in qualifying as we ride on board with the second in the silver class, Nick Schumers. He's driving the Audi this evening. And as we go on board, just coming into the Speed Valley Carousel, he's probably going to keep it nice and wide and then take a late apex. Again, look for the curb on the inside. There we go, let it push out wide. And is he flat through the kink? Let's have a listen. Oh, slight lift, but he should be all right here. And as you can see at the top, so the top is showing us the fastest guys in gold, the fastest guy in silver, and the fastest guy in bronze. And, as you can see, the silver and bronze guys, they're pretty close. There's not a lot between them, but obviously Martin van Lussard is absolutely checking out with a massive lead in qualifying of 3/10.
In the meantime, Phillips jumps into 4th place, new signing for Rev Match Esports for this season. Here comes Nick Schurmas, then 2nd in class, and just behind his class leader, Ben Thanes, in P11. He does not improve, they are so close, 11th and 12th there. And what a fantastic lap from Dries Mushti, who is above and beyond. I mean, quite in front of what is usually a very, very compact, and it is from 2nd place backwards, bronze field. But Dries Mushti has really checked out, and is sitting in a fantastic 14th position, just 1 second away from Martin van Loosenhoord. It's a surprising lap. Not that Dries is not a quick driver, but usually you see a bit of a demarcation between the 3 classes. But Dries Mushti is having a fantastic night so far. Driver who still has to set a fast time, it's our esteemed colleague Tyler Vickery, as he comes around the final corner and starts his lap. Former McLaren driver, now switching to the Mercedes for this season, having had a fantastic round at Spa, where he came so close to the race victory, and that was his best ever race in this series, where he's been taking part since last season. But sadly, he couldn't, capitalize on that in the Montreal round, where he was involved in some drama earlier in the race. But certainly some positive signs that Racer Spa was absolutely his best by a mile in this series, and hopefully, he follows in the footsteps of William Bush, who won in the bronze class in Montreal. Another driver that had a very tough season 4, but has really found his stride in season 5 with already one race victory to his name. Here he comes, sitting in 4th place in the bronze class. Can he improve? Can he jump the driver in front of him, Robbie Bouchon, for 3rd in bronze? He will not. He will stay there. Still a couple of maybe 1 or 2 laps that these guys can get in to improve on their position.
Yeah, so 4 minutes left of this qualifying session. So we've got most people out on track now. But I can tell you this Rev Match team are going to be loving the start. They currently hold 1st, 3rd, 4th and 5th. And then Ben is leading the top of the silver class. So they're a good team, this Rev Match Esports. So Chris Warner is going to be a bit worried because he's got 1 in front and 3 behind. So Chris will hopefully try and get that gap down a bit. But it does look like they're going to be able to pull away, but maybe their qualifying sets are just that good. We'll have to wait and see,
Yeah, it must be a bit frustrating for Chris, because once again he improves on his lap time, but it's still not enough to pass Martin. Now it's only 2.09 away from the pole sitter, and he's clearly in front of the rest of the guys as the Tige goes up to 9th, but still missing that extra bit of pace to get past his rival in the lead. Here comes Dion Phillips, 4th place, looking to go into 3rd, and so he does. 2:02.4 jumps his teammate Robin Monster. So it's still 1, 3, 4, and 5 for Rev Match, but the Dion Phillips and Robin Monster have switched positions.
Yeah, so if we exclude the first 2, down from sort of 3rd place, all the way down to the midfield, it is super tight here. I mean, you're talking a second in between like 11 drivers. I think this is going to be an exciting race for sure. We normally see some carnage into the first corner here, so we'll hope that these guys are going to get them, get a decent start together. So with a minute and a half left, I'm going to say this is going to be everyone's last lap who is crossing the line now. So Martin is on a good lap, but he's not improving. Those yellow sectors tell us that. So 103. So whether he's changed to his race setup now, or he was actually just drafting. Maybe he was drafting Robin Monster. Maybe he's trying to give him a hand.
Yeah, also Thunderslick is enjoying a bit of the draft, jumping up to 3rd. So Dion Phillips from 3rd goes down to 5th. And he's all alone. So clearly, the Ferraris are working together in Rev Match. Dion Phillips a little bit alone. I think he's the only pro driver in the Audi in the Rev Match team, if I'm not mistaken. So basically, yeah, Martin told us, of course, there are, as it should be, like 2 working groups in the Rev Match team during the week for the setup making, etc. And of course, the drivers of the Audis and the drivers of the Ferraris tend to work close to each other with the drivers who drive the same kind of car, of course, for obvious reasons, and also apparently on the racetrack, because Martin Van Loosener was able to basically draft Thunderslick and Monster in front of the Audi teammate, but certainly great advantage for Rev Match as per usual. When you have all those kind of numbers at the front of the field, it can really help you play out a good strategy and have the upper end comparison, Chris Warner will be all on his own if he wants to try and win this race. He will face an uphill climb.
Yeah, he's a bit stuck at the minute, isn't he, the old Chris Warner? He's that Mercedes is good on fuel though. So I'm going to guess for the start he's just going to sit behind Martin, try and save a bit of fuel for when they do their mandatory pit stop, with it being an hour race here. So we're coming to the end of qualifying. We've got nobody really going to be affecting the times here. Only 2 cars left out on track, and they're going to practice the pit entry.
Iceberg is the only driver left on the racetrack. P32, he stays there, and that was the last driver we were waiting for. And now, well, we have 41 drivers signed up to this race, so it's going to be a long grid, but fortunately we have a full pace lap, so you can just enjoy the scenery, while in just a second we will go through the grid for this third round of the season. And just waiting for the session to switch over very quickly. As soon as the session switches over, before we go through the grid, because we have a lot of time to do so, just take a quick look at the weather to see what these drivers will have to contend with, as iRacing is taking his sweet time to switch to the next session. Well, there's no one on the track, and we will just wait and enjoy the scenery. What do you say? This beautiful green, trees, etc., all surrounding this beautiful racetrack in the northern part of central United States, and we just enjoy, basically.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over this hour with them bringing on dirt and on grass onto the circuit. Whether it will get a bit sketchy through the kink. You know, that's always a place where if the top guys and potentially the bronze guys as well, they're going to be flat out through there. So they've got to be careful they don't run too wide, because they will start bringing dirt onto the circuit. And this corner here, the final corner, quite tricky. 2 different types of tarmac. So I normally brake just before the sign, because the darker patch is slippier. So you potentially see some locking up going into the last corner, which obviously affects you all the way down the straight.
And finally, we switch through to the race. So before we go through the grid, the weather situation right now. We have track temperatures of 29 degrees, so not very hot. It's very manageable. 56% of humidity and 10 kilometers per hour of wind. So I would say pretty good racing conditions. Now then, here we go with the starting grid. As the pace car takes its time to get everything sorted, Marten van Loosenhoorn is your pole sitter. He will start in front of the Fury Simsport driver of Chris Warner in 3rd place. And 4th, 2 rev match cars, Kevin van der Slick and Robin Monster. Then Dion Phillips, also for rev match, will be in 5th. A great qualifying from Ruben van Buel, who left his own team. Van Buel racing to join SimRacersWorld Esports in 6th place. Then Lewis Ward and Bot Boland for Alpine and Meraki. 9th place is Matthias de Tige. Tom Methrel is in 10th. 11th position for Seb Eberer, SimRacersWorld Pro, in front of his teammate Ian Roots. Then we move to the pole sitter in the silver class is Ben Thanes, also for rev match, then Chris Moretta for Meraki. Nick Schurmans is 2nd in silver, then Gregory Ranks in 16th place, Dries Mujdi and Chris Miles 17th and 18th, then David Fuller and Anton Dupin. Still David Fuller looking for a good performance after winning the bronze title last season, but quite a number of issues for him in his transition to the silver class. John Barnes, and then Pinbow, who is 2nd in the bronze class. Ronald Moons and John McConville 23rd and 24th. Then we move down the order for Stephen De Wolf and Ben Muse, Stuart Boswell and Bram van Oitven 27th and 28th, and Steve Claes and Robbie Beauchamps In 31st place is last week's bronze winner William Bush. He will start in front of Thijs van den Berg, Kevin Bolland, Lee Woodburn, our own Tyler Vickery in 35th. 36th will be Jochen Lennertz. And then the final few drivers, sadly Marvin Amans, I don't think he will be able to take the start. And also Jeremy Essels, is he going to take the start or is he starting from the pits? No, he's there without setting a time. I think he got a penalty if I'm not mistaken. Rob Tyson is also there, and so is Ben Llewellyn. James Ogden probably will start from the pits. So it's a long grid, but we made it. And now it's time to go racing in around 2 or 3 minutes. Considering how long it takes to get this lap, this pace lap in.
Yeah, certainly a lot of cars going to be headed down into turn number 1. Led off by Mike Van Loosenboord, and I was driving board. Just sat behind the Porsche iRacing's pace car, and a Ferrari staring right down at him. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put it out there, I reckon that Ferrari is going to overtake Chris Warner before they get to the first corner, because I reckon that the Rev Match Esports guys are all talking, and they're going to want to get the jump on Chris Warner, unfortunately. So Chris is going to see what he can do here. That Mercedes is quick in a straight line.
But I'm looking now at the live timing. Dion Phillips is stuck in the pits, and he would have been 5th on the grid, so something must have happened. And maybe a penalty going back from last round, but usually you get an exclusion from qualifying. And so he will start from the pits. That is certainly not ideal. They lose the Rev Match guys 1 driver, as we have a Meraki car that is going very, very slowly after passing everyone. Is that Chris Moretta? No, it's not. Is that Tom Methrel? Maybe. As we are trying to find out who that runaway car was. But yeah, pace lap almost over. We are still, we are more than halfway through the pace lap, which is very nice. So let's see. Dion Phillips will be certainly one guy to keep an eye on, as he will try to make his way through the traffic. But of course, his race starts with a big penalty by starting from the pits. It's not going to be easy to pass these guys in a field that is this close.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got, this race is an hour long with a pit stop, so everything can go on here. So as they enter Canada corner, they're going to start heading up the hill, and Martin van Loosaard is going to be getting ready get onto the throttle. There's some pretty looking skins down here, isn't there? A lot of people these days take a lot of pride in how their skins look on iRacing.
Absolutely, this championship is one of the best, consider, all things considered, with all the liveries and all the beautiful bright colors. Well, Mark, pace car is in, time to go racing.
Yeah, here we go. So as they round the final corner, Mike Van Loosaard has let the pace car go, so it's on him, and away he goes. He's gone early, so hopefully everybody's going to be good into turn 1. So Chris Warner straight into 2nd place behind that Ferrari as he heads down the outside. It's a brave move going into turn 1 on the first lap, but he's going for it. So 2 by 2, and it looks like everybody in the background is coming through. So Chris Warner straight away going round the outside of Martin and gets the move done. Is that going to be a massive move for this evening? So Chris Warner leading the way into turn number 2. Slightly wide compared to Mike Van Loosaard. So let's see what this Ferrari's got down the straight. They go. They are right on the back of each other. 1/10 of a second is the gap. Is there going to be a lunge on this first lap from Martin Van Loosaard? Chris doesn't defend, and Martin heads up the inside. And as they both get it stopped, Martin takes the lead back as they head up towards the Corvette bridge. A sharp left-hander here. Slightly backs out of it there, lets Chris into the lead. And also behind, Kevin van der Silk is keeping these guys honest. So it's still the Rev Match Esports guys running 2, 3 and 4. with the Mercedes out front. Chris Warner, Fury Sim Sport, leading by 0.2 of a second, but as you can see, it's still lap 1, it's still very close. And the top 5 split by just over a second here, so into the kink for the first time. Warner starting to stretch out 0.3 of a second. I did say that Mercedes was quick in a straight line. And we'll make sure everyone gets through here. A couple of people running wide in the background there. But it does look like everybody is up and away for this first lap. And you're right, Marco. Phillips started from the pit lane, so is on his way back round. He's just entering the kink, so he's not out of it here if he can get into the draft. And as we complete lap number 1, it's Warner leading the way here for Fury Sim Sport. Gap this time by over the line, 0.4 of a second. So Martin's going to be keen to stay in the draft here, I think.
Yeah, you know, Mark, that is the way Martin won the media day. Basically the non-points paying round at the very beginning of the season. He drafted for the first half of the race behind Chris. Then he could save 1 second and a half in the pits, and he was able to come out in front. So maybe he decides to play this card now, but certainly this was the most exciting first lap of the season. Granted, we are only 3 races in. Fantastic stuff, and it really goes to show the quality of the driving standards of this championship, because both Warner and Van Loosenord were very respectful of each other, even though they went very, very close in a couple of occasions. And they were able to survive the first lap and hopefully continue to put on a show for us as they go once again through this sequence of corners for the second lap. We have many other drivers very close to each other. Very quickly we could switch. For example, here we have this fight between Moretta, Thanes, leader of the silver class. There is Mujdi still leading in the gold category. By the way, he was in the position of winning at Montreal, but he ran out of fuel on the final lap. That made it possible for William Busch to win, and also so there was basically a pass for the lead in bronze on the final lap, and the same thing happened in week 1 in Spa. There was a crash in the final corner at the bus stop for the lead in bronze. So certainly the most exciting class of the bunch, but it's a beautiful championship as Anton Dupin drops a couple of positions and is now down into P26 as another lap goes in the books.
Yeah, this is going to be good down the straight. There's going to be some moves coming up here. So Anton straight onto the back. He's going to go defensive really early, so that's a brave move. Both of these drivers in the silver class. So Bram round the outside. Is he going to make it stick? Is Anton going to give up the position? He is. So Bram straight through there, round the SimRacersWorld Pro-Am car, and around we go. Who is that?
The leader in silver, and he loses the lead to Nick Shermans, and also second place. Here comes Chris Miles, and David Fuller is also through, and Driz Mujdi. So disaster for Ben Thanes, losing the lead in silver and several positions to boot. We will see what happened very, very soon. It's a very uncharacteristic mistake, as behind him we have a massive amount of cars going through turn 4. So let's see what happened to Ben Thanes.
So he's round turn 1 then. Oh, and I think he's just outbraked himself there, and the rear's locked up and around he went. Ooh. Luckily he missed everybody. So Thanes then going to have to get back on it. He's only got one bronze driver in front of him, and who's that's gone off? That is
Van Uitven.
That's Bram.
He made a mistake, dropped several places, which is uncharacteristic from him. He was fighting a few seconds ago much higher in the field. As I saw a car sideways there, and a car crashing, and 2 cars crashing there. It's 2 separate.
Again. I think that's Ben.
That is one of them is Steve Clays, and then we have Team GB Esports is John Barnes, but I think it was 2 separate crashes. Let's see first what happened to Barnes. But I think, once again, 2 separate incidents.
Yeah, so just caught the grass there on the outside. He goes, yeah, exactly as you said. 2 separate crashes, looked like they were linked, didn't they, really?
And
so that's a shame there for John Barnes.
very
Off
surprising
into the wall he goes.
for Steve Clays, the man with the best picture in Apex Racing TV. On his own, once again, almost collecting his teammate there. And maybe, let's see it from his onboard. Was he slightly phased by the spinning car in front of him? I don't... Let's see. No, just on his own.
That was lost on entry, that was.
Mhm.
So again, the back just stepped out. And that's what happened to Steve Clains. So back at the front. Chris Warner front 2 starting to check out a bit here. So Van Loosgaard is still within 0.6 of a second, so he's still getting the draft. Whether he's able to save fuel or not, they did pretty much identical laps last time by, but now with a 2-second lead back to Kelvin van der Sink, also of RevMatch Esports. So Warner leading the way in round number 3 of away they go into Canada corner, up the hill. And I'm going to say here that Martin's just saving fuel again. We'll listen as he goes down the straight, but he's definitely got the pace. We saw that from qualifying. So is he playing the strategic game? Right from Doe Dot. Let's listen as they go over the line. Is Martin short shifting, saving fuel a bit? I'm going to say he's pretty flat out. So one of them for Fury Sim Sport is showing great pace here at the start of this one. We're quickly 8.5 minutes into this hour-long race, and I'll remind you, with a mandatory pit stop. So these guys are probably just going to have a dash for fuel. And up the inside goes Moons. Good move there over Pinbao. They are silver and bronze. And into the pits, who's that's come in?
It's Dupan. Let's see if it has a regularly scheduled stop or if he had an issue. No, I think he had an issue.
Yeah, so let's see what happens to Japan then. That is into the Johnson's Bridge.
That is the Wolf spinning and collecting several other cars. So I think he got... oh, that was Marvin Amans, who is back on the track, I think, after his issues. But I think he was involved in it as well. So, you know.
Yeah, so the lead car there just went round and everybody had nowhere to go. Look, a massive pile up there. So it's like they got round the first lap and then decided to fight. So as you can see, it's 3 wide coming under the Corvette bridge. Yeah, that's not going to work every day of the week. And into the Hurry Downs.
You know, speaking of Marvin Amans, when it's not your day, or night in this case, you know, having technical issues and then Windows updating, then you finally get into the race, and then you get involved basically in a big fight, and the Wolf goes around again after some contact with a RevMatch car. Who was that? Was it Amans again?
It certainly looks that way, doesn't it? That Ferrari's not looking in the straight form.
Who's that? Is it Tyler Vickery?
So our own, very own Tyler Vickery's just gone off there. I'm going to say that's the same accident as what we saw last time round. Yeah, just caught the grass there on that left-hand side and put him straight into the wall. Almost saved it. I'll give him 10 out of 10 for effort there. But luckily no one behind him there to collect him. The battle for the lead heating up between Warner and Loosgaard. So Martin closed the gap then. It got up to 0.6 of a second, now down to 0.2 of a second as Martin heads up the inside. Just letting Chris know he's still there.
Ooh. for a bit of rallycross there. Thankfully, he was able to keep the car straight.
So Chris still leading this, the gap sitting at around 3 or 4 tenths, but these guys now have a 3.5 second lead over the third place man, which is the other Rev Match Esports driver. And then in that group we have the top BMW followed by the top Audi, and as you can see here, that's a list of all the teams competing tonight. So Fury SimSport lead the way, running the Mercedes. The 3 Rev Match guys all running the Ferrari, and the SimRacersWorld Esports running the BMW. Alpine SimSport, they're in the Audi this evening. We've got Mercedes, another BMW, a couple of Mercedes. So the Audi, I would have thought the Audi would have been strong around here, but you know, only one in the top 10. In fact, almost in the top 15. So Lewis Ward of Alpine SimSport obviously got that Audi going well. Let's hope he can keep on the back of 3rd, 4th and 5th. And as we go down the straight, Martin getting ever closer, showing the inside line. What's Chris going to do here? Brakes slightly later. There is no way that you're coming around here, mister. You're going to need to try a lot harder than that if you want to get past.
These two have checked out on the rest of the field, Mark. Absolutely fantastic stuff from the both of them driving, and that was also shown in qualifying. They were clearly quicker than anyone else, but already 13 minutes in, they have pulled a significant gap. As Van Loosenord, you will rarely see him go for a excessive move, you know, a move with too risk involved. He shows his nose on the inside, but you see he doesn't pounce. And I think unless Warner makes you know, a big mistake, that is going to be the situation that we will carry until pit stop time between these two of them. So we will still keep an eye on this fight, but as soon as we have other battles pop on the field, we'll switch to them. We have plenty of them, as you can see on the track map. The snake of cars is still quite compact from 5th position backwards, more or less, and certainly we have this tendency of having very, very exciting races, especially towards the end of the proceedings.
Yeah, and I've just had a look down our live timing screens. Guess who's moving back up the field? The guy that started in the pits, Dion Phillips, already up to 27th place and pressing on there. So Dion Phillips not out of this race yet. He is running some quick lap times.
Let's go on board with the Audi for a bit. I love the sound of this car, and it has been beautifully replicated in iRacing. It's very loud, I have to say that. I was marshalling for the Italian Endurance GT in the weekend, in the pit lane, and the Audi, and of course the Lamborghini, because they are, you know, basically the same car with the same engine. They are by far the loudest GT3s around, at least of the, you know, the more popular, the ones that you find basically in every series, in every country. Very, very loud engines, beautiful sound.
Surprising into first gear for the for turn number 5. Sounded like he was struggling a bit on the diff getting out of there, but through turn 7 into the hurry downs they go. So we're right on board with Lewis of Alpine SimSport running the Audi this week. He's currently chasing down Ruben of SimRacersWorld Esports, but these guys dropping off the back of Robin Monster and Kevin van der Sink. And last time by, pretty even actually. Even the front two of Warner and Lusgaard, they're kind of dropping into everybody else's pace, so they've got the gap now of 3.5 seconds. just keep him in that gap pretty steady as they go.
Issues for Dion Phillips.
Oh, just as I was telling that he was moving up through the grid. Let's see what happens to Phillips underneath the Corvette bridge. Oh, slightly pushed off the road there. That's a Leclerc-Hamilton move there. Driver in front just slightly moved over, whether Phillips was there or not. But Phillips back on his way. Back down to 33rd place, so he's going to have to do it all again. But as we can see, there's a gaggle of cars up in front of him. And Ward now under pressure from Thomas Mitchell behind. What is Mitchell going to do?
You can already hear the sound of the Audi as we are on board with the Mercedes, which has also very, very good sound, both in the sim and in real life. I love this grunt, and look at that, using the slipstream on the inside. This is certainly marked the premier passing spot of the racetrack, and Methrel makes good use of it by jumping into the top 6 with this nice move of Lewis Ward, as also Chris Moretta is trying to pass Sebastian Heberer while also looking in the mirror, because Gregory Ranks is also in this fight.
Yeah, definitely that end straight there is great, because you can show the nose early and a bridge, go under the bridge and then get on the brakes. You're downhill, so it's trying to get the car stopped and avoid the lockup there. But Thomas Mazzal showed that perfectly then with the pass then for Lewis. Pass on Lewis Ward there as they head into 6th and 7th. And into the kink these guys go. The car into the pits. Are we saying this is a scheduled stop?
I don't think so, sadly, for Rob Tyson.
So down the back straight. Getting squeezed slightly. Oh no, this is going to be a fast one. Yeah, squeezed together those two. And that's a Rev Match Esports Academy driver out of this race here at Road Atlanta. So the SimRacersWorld GT round 3 here on the iRacing network. We're currently 19 minutes into this race. Fury SimSport still lead the way from Rev Match, but Warner not getting away from the car behind of Martin van Loosgaard. And up the inside with the damage to the front of Ronald's car. So John McCauley heading down the back straight, slight damage to the front of his Mercedes. This one of Moon's going to be able to get past. We're going to see the move that we saw from Tom and Lewis. John defends early. Round the outside he goes, and the place was given there. So up 1 space to P20 and 6th in class for John there. That's the silver class. Still led now by Nick Schumers, Chris Myers and David Fuller. And 2x2 again into that big braking zone. And who's that? William Bush. Still leading this gap in front of Robbie Beauchamps.
Yes, this was for 3rd in bronze, and that's a good move from the race winner in Montreal. Still leading the way is Dries Mujdi for the bronze drivers, as he is chasing Ben Thanes. Oh!
Whoa, well,
oh
no!
Oh, Dries Mujdi, unbelievable!
Oh, and is this going to be the big one? Is anybody else going to get collected here?
Only 2 cars involved is Chris Miles and the leader in bronze, Dries Mujdi. Unbelievable. Another bad luck moment, running out of fuel in Montreal, and now this nowhere to go for poor Dries Mujdi there. Let's see a replay. This is from the perspective of Chris Miles, or more or less from the cameras pointing right at him. Went that's all you need to do there. Basically, you go slightly wide. Couple of cars lucky to avoid him. Not sadly the leader in the bronze class. Oh, that is also Ronald Boons. Ronald Boons got absolutely smashed into the wall. See if we can see a replay from his perspective as well. There it is, the Belgian driver for Race Masters.
Yeah, so minding his own business here. Look, coming down the straight, seeing that car high up into the air.
Oh!
And again, absolutely nowhere to go there for Moons. So he's going to come into the pits. Might make this his scheduled restop and take some damage as well, as the battle for 5th starting to heat up a bit. So we're looking at 5th, 6th and 7th. BM from Mercedes, from Audi, so all three. We're just missing the Ferrari out of this group, and then we've got a full field of GT3s here. So let's have a quick check who was the fastest on that last lap, and it was Tom Mithral, still in the 203s, half a second quicker than Ruben, the SimRacersWorld driver in front of him. But as they go, that BMW looks like it's handling really well here. We're 22 minutes into the race, but it seems to have the speed down the straight, which is nice to see.
You know, Mark, I don't. I covered once in a while the VRS GT official series, and I used to race there quite a bit back when I was more active on the racing side, before realizing that I'm a terrible driver. And I noticed that the BMW is not really that popular anymore, except in this championship where it is really. I don't know if that is still the case, but I remember the BMW not being very popular. But now in this championship you see well, there were a bit more of them in the past couple of seasons, but still it's nice to see them at the front, as there's a bit of cloud cover over the racetrack right now, and a little bit of mist also in the air, but beautiful dynamic weather system. We go down to turn 4 and look how the sun is bright and shining on the racetrack.
Yeah, I think you're right there, and the live chat's probably going to tell me if I get this wrong, but I think the BM's better through the corners. I think the BM handles better. I don't think it's as fast as the Mercedes and the Audi, so primarily see it being very good round Bathurst, the BMW, because it's just so agile. The Mercedes, from my experience, very easy to drive, but you've just got to be so patient with it. And the Audi here, again, as we ride on board with it, slight lift into the kink, but it doesn't try and do anything stupid if you've got a really nice setup on this Audi R8. The Ferrari, from what my experience is, fast in a straight line, very fast in a straight line. Does struggle with grip on older tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what Warner can do compared to the 3 Ferraris behind him. And how this BMW does, actually, because it doesn't look slow in a straight line compared to the speed that Mercedes we know has down these straights. So as we ride on board with Ruben, on board behind is closing down the straight. You can see that gap getting ever smaller. Shows the line early, pops it to the inside. Ruben, I'm gonna say lets him through, wants to do a bit of following for a bit. It's definitely easier, as a lot of people know, to follow than it is to be chased on the iRacing platform. You're constantly looking in your mirrors, and especially around here with the straights, it's almost like when you're in the slipstream you get actually DRS, because the car behind just closes up so fast. And we'll see it again with this Audi. So Lewis Ward of Alpine Sim Sport just at the back of this group. So as we can see at the minute, top 13 are all gold drivers, and then 14 through to 17 occupied by our silver drivers, and Pimbao leading the bronze category, driving the Audi. As we ride on board with Nick Schumers, he is the leader of our silver category, driving the Audi for SimRacersWorld Pro.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 for the Audi in the silver class with Fuller and Ben Thanes. In bronze, like you were saying earlier, Pimbao is the leader of the proceedings, with an Audi as well, in front of the two Mercedes of William Busch and Robbie Bouchons, as in the lead still these dueling knights of Warner and Van Loosenord. I don't want to call the shots early because I am not very good at driving, not very good at predicting, but in me the feeling is building that this might very well go just like Media Day, where we had Warner and Van Loosenord in this order, and then come pit stop time, Van Loosenord used the draft to have a slightly shorter pit stop, and that was all he needed to get in the lead and then check out. So I think Chris will have to work out something fantastic in the, his in lap and his out lap will have to be perfect. Or maybe hope in a mistake from Martin at the pit stop, because certainly when you are sitting behind your opponent for almost half an hour, you are bound to have a little bit more better fuel mileage than the leader itself.
Yeah, for sure. And what might come into play, just looking at the track map there in the top right hand corner, back markers. Doesn't look like they're going to catch many of them, but you only need one to be able to push you offline, and is Martin waiting for that? But I think you're right. I think he's fuel saving. I think he's playing the long game here, as much as we all like being in the lead. Chris Warner's going to be loving this. He's leading the race. Everything's going well, but is there going to be a strategy game being played here by Van Loosegaard? But these boys have checked out. 6.3 second lead these guys have over Cover van der Sinde and Robin Monster. Those guys separated by a second, and then 3 seconds back from them is the battle of Marthwell, Ward and Vandal.
Sebeber with a little bit of a mistake. Oh, as we go back live, because he's lost a couple of positions now, so let's follow him through all this sequence.
Yeah, are we going to say it's the same mistake that we've seen all night, just getting 2 wheels on the grass here outside of the kink? Oh no, before then. So, grass on the tyres. What happens as he goes into the kink?
We have to cut back live because Van Loosenord was so close to the back of Warner. Nothing happening there as Van Buell makes a mistake, as we have Lewis Ward very slow.
The Alpine Sim Sport driver there just makes a mistake, and Van Loosenord up the inside of Lewis Ward. So Warner down into second place. Van Loosenord takes the lead back. As we remember, he started on pole, and Lewis Ward into the wall. What's happened to him? I think that all started at the start of the lap into turn number 1. So Ward through the first corner. Oh, just catches the grass there on the left-hand side into the wall, rejoins. I think he realises when he hits the power then that his race is done with the amount of damage on the front of that Audi. Yeah, slows down, pulls it to the side.
Let's watch the overtake for the lead once again. If I can find the replay.
Yeah, it's a takes but move going to happen here. Shows the nose early, onto the brakes as they get down the hill. Into the hairpin, and Van Loosenord takes the lead from Warner. Warner has held the lead since lap number 2. And Loosenord starting to pull away. What are these lap times? 8 tenths of a second, the gap after just half a lap. So last time by 203.3 for our leader, 204.4 for Ward.
That's a bit surprising if you ask me. I thought that Van Luzenor was going to be in the draft until the pit stop time came, but no, and you know that is why he is a great champion and I'm not. He decided that maybe that was too risky. He didn't want to have to count on everything on the pit stop. He went for the move. He was successful, and now, of course, he will maybe use that bit of a reserve that he has. He saved that fuel to push a bit harder now, and trying to go for a couple of quick laps in succession as only he can do, because he is certainly not the champion of the series, by accident. He showed, I have to say, remarkable ability in adapting to GT cars after being very fast and very quick open wheeler here in iRacing, and also winning the Apex Racing League Renault 3.5 series way back when. But then the announcement of iRacing focusing more on well, now we have to see what he does, because we have had the news, of course, of the GT World Championships demise yesterday or a couple of days ago. So basically the only option for Road World Championships for the time being will be the Porsche series. So basically Martin made the switch to GT cars, I think mainly because of that reason, because the open wheeler cars were not going to be considered for top level racing anymore in iRacing. Remains to be seen what he will do now, because he certainly showed fantastic adaptability. In the moment he switched to GT cars was the moment he then jumped into the championship last season, won the title, and so we'll see what he does in the future. But for the time being, of course, he's very committed to the championship, and he will try to do his best and win the second title in a row, as we have an issue for Stuart Musselwhite.
So what's happened to Stuart then as we ride on board? Oh, of course, it's going through the kink. So Musselwhite takes the curb on the inside, yeah, and just catches that bump the same as everybody else. Doesn't collect anybody apart from the wall there. So Musselwhite, is he going to rejoin safely, or is he just going to tow back to the pits from there? Ah, sees the car coming and stops. I like that. Edging out onto the racetrack. Yeah, perfect rejoin there from Stuart. So just a slight mistake. He's going to try and grab that car back to the pits.
Sadly, the car doesn't appreciate his attempt at going back to the pits. He has to tow back. The car says, not moving from here. Steering.
Yeah, not today.
No, sadly not, as we are already 35 minutes into this race. As of course I agree with Bobby Childs in the race chat, one of the premier MX-5 drivers, and not only of that, in the world of iRacing. Is hopefully iRacing works as Van Buel goes in. They can work something out with the IMSA series to have a new Road World Championship. So Van Buel is the first of the top drivers, of the front runners, to blink and go in for his pit stop.
Yeah, I was just thinking to myself, actually, we're going to be into pit stop time here. So Van Buel taking that lone BMW onto pit lane. It's just going to be a dash of fuel to get him to the end here. But first in, did he feel he was getting held up there by the Mercedes of Bod Bondland? Just trying to find himself some clean air. And last time by the two leaders. we're looking at about a 0.3 of a second gap, not in the favour of Chris Warner. So the gap extends there for Martin.
Oh, Ian Root's going a bit wide. Uh, Sam is not around tonight, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, he calls Ian 11th placed Ian. And I might be wrong, and I don't agree with the statement, but apparently it's going to be true again, because he's in 11th place in front of his teammate Nick Sherman, who's the leader of the silver class. We'll see if Ian decides to stay in this sort of a front position to give his teammate a little bit of fuel saving, or if he will let Nick through. And Nick is enjoying a comfortable, somewhat comfortable lead over David Fuller, who I don't want to jinx, but looks like he's finally on course for a good finish after winning the title. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Okay.
That was going to be the commentator's curse, perfectly on time there, as Fuller puts 2 wheels on the grass coming through the kink, and again picks up another 1x and into the pits. Who is that? So Bod into the pits. Is he going to jump Ruben van Dijk, as he pitted 1 lap earlier? And everybody's starting to filter into the pit lane now then.
Yeah, just as a baseline, Ruben van Buell had a terrible pit stop, which might have been a mistake on the timing, because I see him... Ah no, sorry, that was Dion Phillips. No, he had a 58-second cone-to-cone time and 16 seconds in his pit stop, so we can use that, I think, as a baseline. Where is he right now? In the final corner.
So a good exit needed onto the back straight here, as we head underneath Gardner's Devon Bridge. And where's Bod? Bod is just leaving the pit lane, so is Ruben going to have the overlap here? They're on the power. It's going to be closer to turn 1. Bod get back up to speed. And Van Buell in exactly the same place as he was. So what was the difference on pit lane for those two?
Ruben van Buell had a 58.2, Bod Boland 58.6 cone to cone. Even though Bod Boland had a 3 seconds longer stop. So
yeah, so are we? It does look a little bit short there from Ruben. Whether he hasn't taken enough fuel, because we're looking down the order here and everybody's in the 17-18 seconds. But we'll have to see. Has he been fuel saving?
So let's have a recap. As soon as I say that, here comes Chris Warner in. So he is in together with Kevin van der Slick and Robin Monster. So 2 of the 3 Ferraris of Rev Match at the front of the pack are going in. Tom Methrel is also in, and so is Matthias de Tige. So yeah, I think we are reaching the limit of the fuel tanks, and look who's enjoying 1 extra lap. Is Martin van Loosenhoorn there at the front. Yeah. Also Chris Moretta, who is jumping some places. He will stop, I think, at the end of this lap. So will do the race leader van Loosenhoorn. But yeah, see, it was certainly, I think, the perfect coup for van Loosenhoorn, because he saved fuel. He was also able to make the move, and that was, I think, I mean, there's still a bit to go, so anything can happen, but certainly that was probably the winning strategy. As you can see on the bottom of your screen, we have a party in the pit lane. So
yeah, everybody's coming in. So Van Loosenhoorn did get that extra lap of fuel. So the work that he did early on, when he was sat behind the Fury Motorsports, the Fury Sim Sports driver, Chris Warner, is paying out here. So Van Loosenhoorn not opting to pit this time by. And everybody's around the 17-second marks in the pit, as we've got a spinner in front of our race leader. Well avoided there. You saw what happened, just hit the brakes. And is that going to be a moment for Chris Warner to be able to get the lead back of this race? How much do we think that cost Van Loosenhoorn then to avoid the spinning car on the back straight? We shall see soon. So who was that?
At Iceberg, I think it was. Let's see from Van Loosenord on board. Let's see if he lifted. Oh! Well, he had to slow down quite a bit, and he also had a moment into getting into the kink. So well, let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and as you said, into the pits, this time by Van Loosenord. So we watch him as he drives down pit lane, spots the man on the left, on the right hand side. He's going to have to be going all the way down to the bottom of the pit lane, starting on pole position for the race in round 3 of the SimRacersWorld Pro Series. Comes a stop behind the iRacing Porsche as we ride on board with Chris Warner, the Fury Simsport driver. And I think that slight mistake Van Loosenord and having to stop is going to cost him here. Where's the Fury Simsport driver? Van Loosenord well out in front.
Yeah, despite everything that happened, Warner was not able to jump him. And yeah, so Van Loosenord, despite that moment there, was able to keep the lead as we say hello to one of the regulars of this series, who is not racing with us tonight, Danny Cruz, who is a real-life TCR competitor, but sadly cannot be with us because very unluckily he's in Curacao, you know, so unlucky for him, he's enjoying a nice moment in the Caribbean, you know, that's a terrible excuse for not being racing tonight.
It's a tough life, isn't it, Marco? You know, we're sat in here in virtual America. So for those of you that are interested, the pit time was 2 seconds faster from Van Loosenord to Warner. So that's where he made up his time. And as Marco shows us on the left-hand side, that is everybody's pit stop. So as you can see, Van Loosenord saving the fuel there at the start of this race, just following Chris Warner. Managed to save him almost 2 seconds in the pit stop.
Of course, as we quickly corrected by the chat, of course now he's driving in the Super Trofeo, Lamborghini.
Oh,
Super
even
Trofeo.
worse. Even worse, a real-life Lamborghini.
Those are very, very loud. I was at the Super Trofeo Finals 2018 here in Vallelunga, just as a spectator, not as a marshal, and they are very loud. Very, very loud. Beautiful cars.
Yeah, they're big, the old Trofeo cars, aren't they? They're lovely machines, and it's nice to see. We've got 42 people watching the Sim Racing World Pro Series here on the iRacing Network. Round number 3 from Road America. It's good to see that it's got a big following here. And
Absolutely.
The Sim Racing World esports guys here fighting onto the front straight as they head up towards the Hawk Tunnel.
You know, it is very, very exciting for this championship to be on the iRacing Esports Network finally, because it really gives an even bigger platform. Oh, Van Buell, big problems. The front right of that car is gone, and so are his chances of scoring some good points tonight. Oh, what a disaster for Ruben. Let's see a replay of what happened to the green BMW.
Yeah, so it goes defensive for some reason there. Does he catch any curbs? Slightly wide and caught the bump on the outside and fires him in the tyre wall there on the right hand side. Van Buell's night is over in that BMW that I think was running in 7th place. So back with Bodland. In fact, the two SimSport World drivers getting ever closer. The BMW leads the Mercedes here, both gold class drivers fighting for 10th and 11th in class and 10th and 11th overall. And it's been quite a quiet night for everybody else. I'm just looking down, and we haven't given them much airtime. These bronze class drivers, great showing here from Pim, leading the bronze class. So running in P18 overall, but leading the bronze class is Pim Bout, followed by William Bush and Robert Bouchams. And then leading the silver class. Just behind this battle that we're watching, the third car in our picture is Nick Schumann's, followed by David Fuller, the fourth place car in that picture. So as they round Canada Corner, heading up to Belmitchell Bend. These SimRacersWorld esports cars looking for a new photo, I'm guessing, as they all run line and stern, 4 of them together, as we ride on with our bronze place leader, which is Pinbow. So Rev Match lead the gold and also the bronze.
Dion Phillips has disappeared from our radars. I have a terrible feeling because he was just in front of the cars we were watching.
Oh dear. Is there going to be grass on the left-hand side? Ah. Yeah, there's that bump.
Oh!
Oh, a big roll here. And is he going to stay well out of the way? He is indeed. So again, that car behind him was smoking quite a lot.
Yeah. Who was that?
So it's a shame there to lose Dion Phillips there. A small mistake going into the kink. Just caught the curb on the inside there. Fired him wide.
Trying to get an idea of who that car. Oh, I know who that was.
Whoever it was, they've been upside down. They've done a Phillips special. Look, they're running line of stern now. Exactly
it was
the
Rob
same
Tyson.
damage. It's Tyson, another Rev Match esports driver. Look, having a smoke as he goes down the back straight.
So let's go for okay, now being a marshal, that would be a black and orange flag, and also, a call to the Stewards Tower, because he would be putting oil and all sorts of nasty stuff all over the racetrack. Yeah, in this, World of iRacing, we don't have that issue yet. But let's go through a recap of all the positions in class, and of course the gold drivers 1 through 5. Van Loosenord, Chris Warner is in second for Fury, third Thunderslick for Rev Match, fourth is Monster for Rev Match, and fifth is Methrol for the Meraki Racing Black Team. The top 5 of the silver class are all together as well, because we have Nick Schurmans in first, David Fuller in second, with a not very far away, still has a chance, I think, of catching him. Ben Thanes, then McConville and Bram van Hoytven. And then the bronze class with the 4 drivers all next to each other in the standings. Pinbow is your leader in front of William Bush. Then we have Robbie Bouchon in third, Lee Woodburn in fourth, and in fifth, a little bit behind, starting from the pits, remind you, James Obden.
Yeah, so that's a shame for Phillips, really, because he was having a good race, as the fight for 5th, 6th and 7th started to heat up. And SimRacersWorld esports driver there just showing Mortelli the grass there a bit, so that loses that battle down a bit for the time being. So the closest battle on track is the one we're watching now between Bodlan and Mateus. 7/10 of a second is that. As I say that, the closest battle that I can see now on our timing screens is for 6th and 7th in the silver class between Hassel and Clays, the Dynamic Racing 1 team and the Rev Match esports drivers, as they're heading down the back straight together. So the BMW being chased down here by the Audi of Steve Claines. And last time by, Claines was a second faster than the BMW in front of him, and up the inside he goes into turn number 5. The cut back there almost has worked there for Hassel as they lead up into the Corvette bridge. Still on the inside is that BMW. We see it appear out of nowhere as we ride on board here with Claines. And BMW back through there of Hassel's. as they both get a bit loose as they go underneath the Speedville Bridge, round the carousel. As they exit the carousel, they'll see the big Continental Bridge in front of them as they head underneath the kink. And pressure from the Audi behind. They both look to have good lines there. Audi shows his nose early. He's got him up the inside. Here they go. Just touches the grass, but gets the move done before they even get into the braking point. So Steve claims right at the inside again. Keeps it nice and neat as they head up toward the Bill Mitchell bend. A tough one, this one. It goes over the brow of the corner, and the curb on the right hand side that you just seen there past, it just appears out of nowhere, and braking into the Hawk Tunnel and out onto another lap. 51 minutes down, 10 minutes to go of this race as we watch Bob Ireland head into the kink underneath the Hawk Bridge and safely through for 6th, 7th and 8th.
Yes, we should have 3-4 more laps to go. Maths have never been my strong suit. Oh, David Fuller. Wide, hopefully just wide. He was not the only one, because Ben Thames followed him. Let's see. So this is David Fuller, second in silver. You will see Ben Thames third in silver behind him. So this is David Fuller.
With a great picture, drinking a beer while feeding a baby. You've got to love it.
And this is Ben Thames. No, it was not Ben Thames. Who went wide there? James Upton? No. I swear I saw a car go wide.
We've seen that many go off here in the kink this evening, you know. Put it past you. Yeah.
As we enjoy another time both the replay and the picture. Let's see, because maybe
he just gets loose on the entry there, doesn't he? Fires himself wide. Luckily misses that bump that's caught out Dion earlier this evening.
And yeah, there were no other cars there, so yeah, maybe time for me to stop talking about random stuff, because clearly there were
we're seeing things.
Still this fight between Roots and Shermans, once again, different classes, same team, but you know, the points count the same for both of them. So Nick Shermans will very, very much, I think, like that extra spot now that he's a bit more in the clear, because Fuller has made that mistake, even though he's still not very, very far away. Also, that is a point that we usually bring up in this kind of very long racetracks, Mark, of course, is that being a timed race in a track as long as this means that if a driver takes a gamble on the fuel and the white flag comes at a bit of a weird moment where you might have to do 2 extra laps instead of 1, you might see some drivers struggle with fuel towards the end of the race. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's see when Martin van Loosener gets that white flag, because it might catch some of these drivers out. I remember, for example, when the Le Mans series comes around here, it's always very, very tough for the drivers to figure out, especially for the LMP2 and the GTE cars. They have to time their stop compared to when the LMP1 leader is, when they are about to run out of fuel, because otherwise you risk finishing you know, with no fuel. And as you know, the final portion of the track is up the hill, so if you are out of fuel, you are never going to the start finish line, as we have an issue for Jeremy Jesus in the meantime.
So what have we got here? Is this just an outbreak myself and run a bit wide? Oh yeah, just caught the grass. Is he going to hit that wall? He does indeed. So Jeremy Hassel again in the wars here. And I think he's going to call it a night there. Parks his BMW up on the left-hand side of the track. And as I can see, it's heating up between Borderland and Methrel again for 5th and 6th in our gold category. Those guys now split by half a second. As Van Nistelrooy passing the back marker and setting out on his way now with a gap of 4.6 seconds. So that early strategy call from Van Nistelrooy to drop behind Warner for the first half of this race before the pits is working a treat. A 4.6 second lead and half a second faster per lap is Van Nistelrooy's gap.
So, since the previous round that we had in Montreal, we have been tasked by the wonderful organizers of the championship to elect a driver of the day. And Mark, since this is your first time commentating on this series, I will give you the honor to pick the driver of the day for this race.
Oh, wow, okay. Driver of the day.
You don't have to tell it now. You just have to.
Yeah, I'll have me a think. I'm gonna see what's happened over the race. I've got a couple in mind. But yeah, that's very nice of you. I'm gonna have me a little think as the two SimRacersWorld guys battle again. As Marco said, two different classes. So the Audi is the leading silver class driver. That's Nick Schumer's, following his teammate Ian Roots, who is currently running P11 in the gold category. So are we going to see the Schumers try and pass with the last 3 minutes of this race? As you can see, top left corner, 58 minutes is almost upon us of this 1 hour race here at Road America for round 3 of the SimRacersWorld Pro Series, being broadcast on Apex TV and also the iRacing Esports Network.
As I use this opportunity to thank all of our viewers, both here on the iRacing Esports Network and also on our Facebook page and on our Twitch channel, where this event has been restreamed in real time. And once again, thank you for allowing us into your homes or computers or wherever you are watching us, and certainly do check out the rest of our scheduled programming, including tomorrow at 7:15 GMT, the first round here on the Esports Network of the new Apex Racing League TCR Winter Series, which is going to accompany you throughout the winter and of course fall season and winter every Thursday night here on the iRacing Esports Network, and a lot of excitement, of course, for the new Audi TCR car. So, Mark, who have you picked for driver of the day?
Well, I think it's about to change, because I think this is the battle that's heating up for our silver leaders. So, is that David Fuller? That is David Fuller right on the back of Nick Schumer's. So, as they go defensive, is it going to be Fuller to the inside? I don't think this is the last lap yet. I think Van Nistelrooy has not taken the flag yet. But Fuller putting the pressure on with just over a minute to go of this race, as they both head down the back straight, both the Audis. So the gap, 0.3 of a second between the leader and second place in our silver class here. Are we going to see a lead change right on the last lap here? Has Fuller been saving his tyres a little bit? Trying to now put the pressure on to the back of Nick Schumer's for the SimRacersWorld Pro-Am car.
This is the final lap, by the way, for confirmation. So
Final lap there.
No more, this is it. If you want to make the move, this is it.
So Mike Van Nistelrooy, is he somewhere near the start? Because I think these guys are going to keep battling until they get to the kink, and the white flag and the checker flag is out. So taking round 3 of the SimRacersWorld Pro Series, Martin Van Nistelrooy leads over the line. Chris Warner is going to finish in second. A fantastic race there from Nistelrooy, using the strategy, and as they come round the kink, this is going to be Fuller to the outside. Schumer going to take the inside here. He's not going to want to give this lead up because he's been leading for most of the race, and Fuller round the outside, but slightly outbreaks himself here. 2 wheels on the grass there as they go up towards the Bill Mitchell bend. And is it going to be a last-ditch attempt here from Fuller up into the Hawk Tunnel corner? He's going to stay behind him. Is he going to get the run slightly closer to the apex there of Fuller as they head up to the start line? And the gap 1/10 of a second. So is the slipstream going to affect him before they get to the line? No is the answer. Nick Schumer takes the wing of the silver class here from Ben Fuller and David Thames. And as we watch Pimbao coming through the kink, just one more lap, one more corners, a couple to go. The RevRat Esports Academy driver here, driving the Audi as he comes round to take the lead in class, and P17 overall, which is a fantastic result for him there. So as he rounds Bill Mitchell bend into the Hawk Tunnel corner, Pimbao will win the bronze category here at the SimRacersWorld G Sports Pro. That's some great points there for his championship. Ahead of, in second place, another Audi, Lee Woodburn of the Excite Audio Sim Racing division. As Lee rounds the final corner and will take P2 in class. So in the bronze class there, Pimbao takes the win, Lee Woodburn takes second, and Steve Clacy in third. And as the Mercedes of Robin Beaumont comes over the line.
Robbie was at an issue, I think, but didn't lose any positions in the final lap.
So this, by the looks of it, is the battle for P2 and 3. So I think there was an issue there between Robbie and Lee, maybe?
See there, because it doesn't show any kind of overtake on the event viewer, but
No.
it's very strange. So, who is the driver of the day? Because I gave you...
I'm going to go 4.
That's a drum roll, please, which we don't have, sadly.
The strategy maestro himself, Martin van Loosgaard, is going to take driver of the day today. I think the way that he controlled that race behind Warner in that first 40-45 minutes of that race, I think it was brilliant. He set out his strategy early, knew what he was going to do. You know, I think Warner played the sensible game. He enjoyed leading. It's great to lead this start, but I think Martin he knew what he was going to be doing. He knew that he was going to have to save fuel. Road America's a great track to save fuel at, and timed it to perfection. 2 seconds was the gap saved in the pit stop for Martin today. So Martin, as we can see on screen, takes my driver of the day award.
That is absolutely awesome. Thank you very much, Mark. And I think it's time to go through the race results for the evening. And we will start, of course, the overall results. As per usual, Martin van Loozenhoorn wins the race, 6.6 seconds in front of Chris Ward, Kevin van der Slick in third, and fourth is Robin Monstad and Tom Mettrol and Bod Boland, the two Meraki drivers coming together in fifth and sixth. Then Matthias de Tige, another Meraki driver in Chris Moretta. And then it's Gregory Ranks, Sebastian Oeberer, Ian Roots and Nick Schurmans, a quartet of Sim Racers World drivers. Then, of course, Schurmans is the winner of the silver class, just in front of David Fuller. Ben Thames rounds up the podium. John McConville and Bram van Oitven rounds up the top 16. Winner of the bronze class is Pimbao in front of Lee Woodburn. And as we move towards the lower part of the results, Steve Clacy in 19th and Robbie Bouchon, so William Bush and James Upton, a trio of bronze drivers. 2 silver in Lenners and Essels, but starting with Essels, we can go through the retirements basically. Himself, Thijsberg, Steve De Wolf, Dion Phillips, Ruben van Buell, Stuart Mosseway, Dries Mujdi, Louis Ward, Kevin Boland, Rob Tyson, Ben Mews, Ronald Boone, Chris Miles, Ben Llewellyn, Marvin Julian Ammons, Tyler Vickery, Anton Dupin, and John Barnes. So this is the results from Road America, and now I think it's time to have some interviews. And who should we start with? I think, Mark, you are standing by with our very own race winner, and you will have the pleasure to interview him, of course, Martin van Loozenhoorde.
Hello, everyone.
Martin, good evening.
Good evening.
How did that go for you? Tell us how we saw it from our point of view. You know, what was your strategy here then?
Well, I guess there was no strategy. It was just trying to hang on to the back of the Mercedes because that car was crazy quick on the straights. And especially with Chris Warner in the car, he had a great exits every time again. So, yeah, strategy was to keep within his slipstream, and then I knew the pit stop would be faster because I think I could do one more lap more. So you have to tank less fuel. So that was basically a few seconds that you win. But then again, on the on my in lap, there was an accident. I think Thijs lost his car going through the right kink, so I had to back off, to make sure I didn't crash into him. So I lost a few seconds there, but in the end, I think I still gained a few seconds, 1 or 2 over Chris, and then managed to pull a gap a little bit to the end. But the car was quick. The car was really quick.
Yeah, it did look like you know you've got to watch the broadcast back. We were watching your in lap, and me and Marco we were all dear that when that car went off in the kink, you had to you're in fourth gear on a flat out straight. But as you said, the pit stop helped you there. You saved pretty much 2 seconds by whether it was fuel saving or just good throttle management on your part. But you received driver of the day from me. It was a very impressive drive, mine, I have to say. Very good.
Oh, nice. Good to hear.
And, extending your lead in the championship by the looks of it. So another race win under your belt.
Yeah. Yeah, really happy with the result, of course. So, on to the next one. That's what what do you want to know more?
It's a good way to be, isn't it? Leading the championship is always nice. So before we let you shoot off, anybody you'd like to say thanks to? Who you'd like to say thanks in the team to?
I would like to thank UGX. I would like to thank RB Skillworks and Uitert for the sponsors. I would like to thank you guys for covering the series and making this series look great. Also, Ian Roots and all the guys around him for hosting this series, and of course the team who are providing us from setups and stuff like that, who get the practice in to make sure they get a good result. I would like to thank the guys who finished good. Also, Pim for his first win in the bronze category. So congrats to him as well. I don't know what the silver class does, but I think Ben was doing really well. I'm not sure how he finished. So thanks.
Wonderful. It's our pleasure to do the broadcast, mate. We really enjoy it. It's a great series to watch, and congratulations again on your win and also receiving the Driver of the Day award.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys. See you next time around.
Awesome. So that was Martin van Loozenhoorde. Now we are going to have a chat with the second place driver in silver, who I'm very happy to have with us because he didn't have the easiest of beginnings to his season. Of course, the defending bronze champion. If I can find him here, we should have David Fuller on board with us. Hello, David.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing
Good
fine,
evening.
doing fine. And first of all, we just noticed your beautiful picture that you have on your
Is that
on
me
our
drinking a
overlay.
beer?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
That's the typical pose for me.
We
Always a
noticed
beer
it the
for us,
first
man.
time round when you were driving through the kink, and I was like, "Oh, look, good line through the kink." Oh, actually, hold on a minute, look at that picture.
I had a couple of moments in the kink. Yeah, that Audi,
Yes.
that Audi it's determined to kill me. I swear to God.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people going off in the kink. You know, you get it close to that curb on the inside, and it throws you out onto the grass, and before you know it, you're kissing the wall, aren't you? So, but no, a good race. You happy with that to take P2 there?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you've seen the first two races, but there was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. I had a few spins, so I'm just glad to have kept it in one piece in that damn Audi. Great battle at the end as well with the orange boys, the orange army there blocking us.
Yeah, you were closing on them. We were watching. You know, as I've just said to Martin, you know, go and watch the stream back. We were on that. We were looking at the gaps that was closing, and that final lap looked a bit intense. You know, Nick was definitely under pressure there from yourself.
Yeah, Ian was. I was just speaking to Ian there in the waiting area, and he confirmed my suspicions, which they were towing each other. Well, Ian was towing Nick to hold the gap, and I was gaining a few tenths here in the twisties, and then on the straights they were just getting it back, and then Ian's tires literally fell off the cliff. I looked at my relative. I was like, they look really close now, and sure enough, I'd gained about a second on the third last lap, maybe second last lap, and then I think Nick made a mistake on the right hander after the kink, and I closed right up, and I was like, right, don't hang about, Dave. You need to send it like as soon as you get a chance, send it.
Yeah, look like it's straight around the outside, and then just try and hold it on at holding on at Canada corner there, just slightly running wide, putting two wheels on the grass.
Yeah, it's good side-by-side action. It was quite nice to actually have a battle with Nick instead of seeing him off in the distance. So yeah, it was some good battling there. Just had the outside. Every attempt I had, I was kind of stranded on the outside, unfortunately.
Yeah, he placed his car well, but you know, that confirms to me and Marco, we thought the Sim Racing World guys were just after a good selfie. You know, there were four in a line, and you were closing it to the back of them every time. So
Yeah, I seen him as well on the. They did like a bit of a parade lap, and I could see them all lined up. I was like, I'm gonna get in that picture. I think, yeah, just spinning up behind them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
David, then just before you let you go, anybody you'd like to say thanks to? Anybody who's made your night worthwhile?
Uh, well, like I say, thanks to the club. We had our first club meet in Donington Park for the British GT over the weekend, and I think a lot of us are still hungover from it, to be honest. So that was really good. Got all the lads together. A couple of guys from Denmark, Ireland, Scotland. So that was really good for the club. So I'd like to thank them guys for a fantastic weekend. You guys, I look forward to watching the stream back, seeing what you had to say for some of the moves, and see what happened to some of the other people out there as well. And just a thanks to Ian as well for hosting everything. And thanks to Ian for giving my rival a tour. Much appreciated.
Yeah. No, well done, David. Good second place result there, and as you say, it's nice to get a clean finish. Let's get the championship on the way. Then you know it's only round 3. There's a long way to go yet, mate. I can tell you that for sure.
Definitely. Hopefully, this is a sign for things to come for me and Nick. Can try and push each other. Hopefully.
Yep, and that silver class win will come. I can tell you that.
I'll hold you to them words, mate. I'll hold you.
Awesome. So that was David Fuller, who finally having a good result after a tough start of the season. Let's get our winner in bronze. It's Pimbao. Hello, Pim.
Hello, good evening.
Hello,
Congratulations.
how you doing?
Thank you.
A win then in the bronze class there, Pim. How did that feel? You look like you had that under
Uh,
control from our region.
Good. It's nice to feel of have to first place on bronze. It's my first time. Dus and the first season for me. Dus it's a good race, a good start of the season for me.
Yeah, it does look to be going well. It looked like you had that race under control. You know, there was a couple of you guys battling early on, but you seemed to be able to get a gap, and then you had a good pit stop, and you know it looked plain sailing. You know, the lap times didn't drop off, and no, it seems really good. How was the car? Was it good to drive?
It was good to drive, but at the end the tires are very gone. But it was very slippery the last laps. But the pace was good.
Yeah, with the Audi, you know, we've just been speaking to the other guys, and they were saying, you know, going through that kink, it was, you know, the Audi is very sketchy to get through there.
Yes, it was the last laps is gone almost on full throttle. A little bit of lift.
Yeah, and then just hope it keeps itself together. Then I guess.
Yes.
Perfect. Are you looking forward to the next series, the next tracks? Is there any that you're particularly fast round?
Yes, the Nürburgring. I'm very good. That's my track.
Yeah, so hopefully another bronze win is going to be on the horizon then for you at the Nürburgring when there
Yes,
later on in the season.
that will be amazing.
Anybody you'd like to say thanks to, Pim? Who
Uh,
makes this weekend good
yes,
for you?
yes. Thanks to UGX and Outed and We've Matched Motorsports. Thanks for the academy. That's it.
Perfect, because you're one of their academy drivers, aren't you? By the looks of the tag.
No thanks.
Good. Perfect. So Pim Bao then, the winner of our bronze class here at Road America of round 3 of the Sim Racing World Series.
Okay, so one more, and of course we cannot, overlook the presence, the very big presence of Ian Roots in the interview waiting area. Ian, welcome on board, and well, no Sam tonight, but hopefully we can make up for it. How was your race tonight?
Evening, guys. You could probably gather that there was a sea of orange up the front. It
Yes,
was.
you'll have to take the selfie later. There was 4 of you in a group. How could we miss it?
I know it was astonishing. My qualifying tonight, I don't know where it came from. I've never been that fast around Road America. Every corner just hooked up perfectly, and I matched my optimal time. And I've never done that at any circuit, so it put me in good stead really. And I've got some good guys around me that I could trust. And I knew my race pace would be okay. It wouldn't be brilliant, but it would be okay. And if I could keep out of trouble in the opening laps, then yeah, it was a case of just hang on the coattails of Seb and Greg at the start and see how far they could drag me along. And in actual fact, they didn't really drop me at all in the whole race. So really pleased, really pleased tonight.
Yeah, so it looked like from obviously where we were looking for, the first lap was good. Then we started to see a couple of mistakes crop in sort of 5 or 10 laps in, especially through the kink. We lost a lot of drivers this evening through the kink. But as you say, Sim Racing World guys just kind of stuck together. And, it was a good race. The pit stop looked to go all right for you. You looked to have a good pace all the way through the race. How was your car? Do you set them all up together? Do you have sort of team sessions?
Um, we haven't we don't very often because we're in different countries and there's an hour difference and we don't very often get together. But we do share setups. We all nearly all no we all drive different cars. I think we got BMWs, Mercedes, and Ferraris in the team. So it's a case of let's find a decent setup for the Mercedes and let's share that setup. We all went safe tonight, I do believe. Nobody went with any risky fast setups, and I think that paid off. I think sometimes slightly slower laps but more consistency gives you the results for the championship, and it worked really well tonight. Pit stops were good. I don't think anybody struggled on pit stops. Nobody made any silly mistakes with tyre boxes still ticked, which is the most common one. Yeah, so no, it was really good, and I could see it all happening behind me towards the end in my mirrors, and obviously Nick was behind me, silver class leader at the time, and we were dragging him along, and we were all running out of tyres. In actual fact, I think he was quicker than all 3 of us in front of us at the end. And I thought to myself, Mr. Fuller, you are not going to go by Nick because there will be a sea of orange.
yeah, we're just going to block the track for you.
Yeah, there will be a parting of the ways like Moses, and Nick will drive through the middle, and then we will close ranks for one whole lap.
Yeah, it did look. It was getting close, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Nick was on the back of you, and you were pulling him around, and then we didn't see it coming. Generally, didn't see it coming. David would just, edging that gap closer and closer, and then the last lap came. We're like, hold on a minute, we've got a battle here for the win overall in silver. But
yes, we saw it unfolding. I could see it on my mirrors and my relative, and I could see it all, And I thought, you know what, there's going to be a big plan of action here because obviously we're all in the same chat. There's going to be a big plan of action, and Mr. Fuller definitely isn't going to get that silver win.
Yeah, I bet Nick started to get a bit squeaky, didn't he?
I think,
He's coming, he's coming.
yeah, I think he did. If he'd have been a little bit closer on the penultimate lap to me, I'd have let him go. I would have given up my place and let him go, and then held Dave back. But it didn't come to that. I just happened to pull a gap. I think halfway through the carousel, which was where I was quicker than Nick for the whole race. I pulled a gap there, and then it was too late to help him. I thought, please don't go by him on the drag to the line because that would be cruel.
I mean, it was tenths of a second as they crossed the line. You know, do you think the Audi was better through the faster corners, but the Mercedes through the sort
No,
of sweeping corners? Then
I think it was the other way round. I think
right, okay,
through the carousel, that those types of corners, I think the Audi was much slower.
right, okay.
And through the quicker corners, the Audi was quicker. So it was a case of, yeah, it was a split lap really between the two cars, which is why it was so equal at the end. And I know, but tyres played a massive part at the end. Talking to Seb in front of me, his tyres were down to around 50% on the front, the same as mine. So we were all struggling at the end, and I think the Audi played better with its tyres, and that's why they were quicker at the end. I think they took nearly 4 seconds out of us after the pit stop. I think Nick and David. And that's an incredible amount of time in what 15 minutes.
Yeah, you guys all pitted around the 40-minute mark, sort of on lap 19. We only saw a couple of people go longer. Obviously, Martin went a lap longer by saving fuel. If you watch it back, saving fuel behind Chris Warner.
Yeah, he's master of that.
He is indeed. He set it out early, and away he went. So, Ian, anybody you want to say thanks to? Obviously,
Yeah.
we want to say thank you to you for putting on such a great race series. You know, 41 cars take the grid at Road America here, and it was brilliant racing to watch. You know, battles all the way through the series.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Obviously, you guys do a fantastic job every week. Obviously, we've not met, but I'll listen to the broadcast back. And, Sam is sorely missed. And come back, Sam. I'm not sure if he's unwell or busy or what, but, they've done a great job, Sam and Marco. So thanks to you guys. But just thanks to everybody. It's the support we get and the community we have is second to none. It's incredible. And I just want to thank everybody. You guys obviously know there was no live stewarding tonight. That's the first time in a season and a half that we've not had live stewards tonight. It couldn't be avoided. But I think listening to the chat and what have you before, after, and during, it seems as if everybody kind of behaved themselves. So I just want to thank all the drivers for the respect that's shown on track because it's phenomenal. So yeah, it's another great evening. We catch up with you next week at Monza.
Yeah, I think I can certainly echo that. This is a very clean series when it comes to the driving standards. If you like you said, you're going to watch the stream back. There was not a lot of contact between drivers. I think everyone's got a lot of respect for each other out here, which is great to see in such a big field. You don't want that massive pile up going into turn one, and we didn't get it. Which is a credit to all the drivers here, isn't it? Really.
And that's exactly it. It's that our rules are strict for a reason, and they work. And the live stewards, obviously looking over your shoulder, do help a lot. And we're coming to one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar next week for turn one, as you guys are probably aware. It is an absolute nightmare at Monza, but I think everybody knows that, so they go in with a little bit more care and attention, and it shows. And the series is just moving from strength to strength, and to be on the esports network now is phenomenal. What the guys have done behind the scenes with me to turn it into what it is just testament to them and the work that goes in. So thanks to everybody, really. It's great fun, and we'll be back next week.
Yep, good to speak to you, Ian, and well done again for P11 in the gold class.
Yes.
And helping with the P1 in the silver class there.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys.
And that was Ian Roots, of course, series mastermind and gold driver. So we are getting closer to the end of the broadcast. We want to just remind you tomorrow the Formula Renault 3.5 series, the official series, is back on Apex Racing TV. As on Saturday we will have the Euro V8s, Sunday morning Aussie mixed and fixed GT series. 10:45 GMT, and then on Monday we start back with the usual series that we broadcast week in and week out. And of course, don't forget tomorrow on the iRacing Esports Network, round 1 of the Apex Racing League TCR Winter Series. Mark, thank you very much for jumping in. It has been a pleasure.
Perfect. Lovely to be here, Marco. Brilliant racing as always, and look forward to watching at Monza next week.
Awesome. Of course, I am very excited about the series coming to Monza. But for now, from everyone here at Apex Racing TV, and of course, everyone who has made this broadcast possible, Mark Fletcher, myself, I wish you, as per usual, good night and happy racing.